ahead of the penultimate mock draft Wednesday, I wanted to go and give flowers and spotlight some of my favorite players at each position in the draft. Some guys down board who I won't ever pick in the first round of mock draft. Some guys who I think are underrated. Just all of that. Some guys I really just want to spotlight because I really like them as prospects. Starting with the quarterbacks, we're only going to have one guy, and it's Drake May because I still hate the Drake May hate. He's maybe my favorite quarterback prospect of all time. I certainly don't think he's the best. I don't think he's the number one in this class. But I love Drake May. He gets so much hate because he didn't win. He won 8 games with the worst O-line in the FBS. Not FBS, but Power 5 outside of Colorado. His number one weapon didn't get to play half the year. He didn't really have anybody in the backfield. And he's made plays. So many great plays. He has a well above average arm. He can fit the ball into tighter windows than anybody in this class, which, in the NFL is a lot more important than college. He's pretty athletic too. Makes good decisions. I really like Drake May. I don't care that he's like a white blonde quarterback who made one cool throw. That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean he's Zach Wilson. He's his own player. Now to running backs. This running back class it's weak, but there's some athletes. I meant Jatavion Sanders, Jonathan Brooks. If he doesn't get hurt, then he's definitely number one running back. Who's the number one running back? It could still be Brooks, but I don't know. But Marshawn Lloyd put on a show at the Combine. So big, so strong, and so athletic. He definitely has the best athletic profile for any running backs. Then Braylon Allen. I watched a lot of Wisconsin, and I watched Braylon Allen for the past 3 years. And dude is also so big and athletic. You can see I kind of have a type with running backs. He's big, strong, athletic running backs. And it's a weaker running back class, but these guys could be third-round picks, fourth-round picks, and make an impact for a team as a backup or maybe a future starter. For wide receivers, I could say everybody, but we're going to spotlight 5. Rome Odunze, Adonai Mitchell, Keon Coleman, Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Legette. Now, I really could just keep listing off wide receivers, but I'm not. Rome Odunze is probably my favorite player in the class. I really want the Giants to take him at this point. So good at breaking press. He can go up and get the ball anywhere. Big, strong, athletic. Again, if you're big and athletic, it's like I love the athletic profiles of players. Sometimes even more than the skills. You're going to see that throughout this entire list. And Adonai Mitchell, there's no one else better. Well, there is actually. One of the tight ends has actually tested better. But 6'2", 200 pounds, 4'3", 40-inch vertical. Pretty polished route runner for what his size is, what his role is. He's a pretty good route runner. Effort, a big thing. Hands are kind of an issue as well. But that's stuff that can be developed. You can't teach speed. You can't teach size. You can't teach athleticism. And for Keon Coleman, that's another big, go up, get the ball. He was considered maybe a top 10 pick earlier this year. Kind of fell off throughout the season, but he was Florida State's go up and get the ball. He was their number one receiver. Super talented. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a top 20 pick. And I think earlier in the draft cycle, people were kind of like iffy on that. But now I think kind of everybody knows who Brian Thomas is. He's 6'2", blazing speed. I don't remember what he ran, like 4.32, but the amount of touchdowns he had deep down the field, I don't know. I know he led FBS in touchdowns, but I don't know. Probably led it in 20-yard touchdowns too. But he's gonna be a top 20 pick. His range is 11 to if the Chargers or the Cardinals take him to 20. I don't think he falls past 20. And Xavier Legette, also super big, super athletic, and the accent's crazy. When he talked, the accent was crazy. He has that southern fucking vibe too. Tight ends, we're going to go. This is a weak tight end class outside of a top 5 tight end prospect of all time in Brock Bowers. Everything you could ever want in a tight end. He has great blocking ability, great hands, great after the catch for a running back. And also, they had him going on screens, they had him doing wherever. He can catch the ball wherever you want on the field, and he can make plays after the catch. Bailed out Georgia a couple times, too. Bailing out the best team in the country, you got to be good, right? And I don't think he ends up going top 10. I think his range is more from 10 to 18, I think, where the Jets to the Bengals. It's like some teams like the Colts could take him in between, or the Chargers can trade down and take him. And I said earlier, Adonai Mitchell had the number 2 combine in terms of like RAS score, what their position. C.O. Johnson had the number 1 tight end combine for a little bit. It fell off to number 2. Number 2 tight end combine. He went insane. He'll probably end up still being a late 3rd at best, to really a 4th round pick. This could be a really talented tight end prospect down the board. Interior offensive line, I could spotlight Jackson Powers Johnson, but I think everybody knows he's going to be good. I think Christian Hayes may be the best pure guard. Like, not like, oh, he can move from tackle to guard. No, he's a pure guard. His position will be listed with a G, not with a tackle like Graham Barton or Troy Fautanu, who will probably end up playing guard in the NFL. I think Christian Hayes is just the best pure guard. Tackle, we have 4 guys: Fuaga, Alt, Mims, Kingsley Suamataia. I could put Kieran Amagbaje there too, but like both him and Kingsley Suamataia are I like them for the same reasons. High potential, very raw players. I just think Kingsley Suamataia is a better player. I think he actually has a chance to go in the first round. He'll definitely go in like the first 10 picks of the second round though. Fuaga, mauler in the run game. Could play guard, depending on what team he'll play guard or tackle. He's flexible like that. And I think he probably profiles better as a guard, but he can certainly play tackle at a high level. Joe Alt, I know Joe Alt's he is the number 1. I think everybody knows he's the number 1. But he was already the safe, the technically sound offensive lineman, and he goes out and has the best combine for a tackle, or top 5 combine for a tackle. So as that, he has that athletic profile as well, as long as with that technical skills. Don't see him falling past 7. Amarius Mims, when he plays, is really good. He's really technically sound, especially for playing 8 games. And, super big and really athletic. Only thing is he played 8 games. That was due to Broderick Jones. He played behind Broderick Jones last year, injuries. A healthy Amarius Mims is a top 10 player in this class. And Kingsley Suamataia kind of talks about it. It just really has a high potential. And he's definitely not going to start for a team now, but he can be a future top 5 tackle in a very stacked tackle class. It's like a tongue twister. We'll go to the defensive side of the ball. There's really not a lot with defensive tackle. I mean, Michael Hall and Chris Jenkins are your eat space guys, but I'm not going to talk about them or talk about Tre'Davion Sweat or anything. Talk about Byron Murphy, because he is the only defensive tackle even close to worth taking in the first round. He's a top 15 pick, top 15 player. He's probably fits best as a 3-4 defensive end, but he could kick the nose. Edge, we're going to spotlight Dallas Turner, Chop Robinson, Laiatu Latu, and Marshawn Nealon. I know these are maybe 3 of the first 4 edges taken off the board, and then Marshawn Nealon. Dallas Turner's athleticism is so crazy. Running a 4.46 with a 40-inch vertical, a 10-foot broad. He's smaller, but he's such a good fit in any 3-4 scheme. 3-4 scheme, especially Atlanta. I know it's just such a perfect fit for him as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Chop Robinson, his range is becoming big. He was definitely considered a top 15 pick coming in the draft. Now he can go from the 23-ish range to all the way to 45. Maybe even 50. He's probably not. Probably 23 to 35. I think is a realistic range for Chop Robinson. He's really athletic, and he's really versatile. He can play in a 3-4, 4-3, seamless transition, or about as seamless as you're going to get. Think he would fit in a Tampa Bay or something like that. That's usually where I mock him. But I think he definitely should be a first-round pick. I don't know if he will be, though. Laiatu Latu is the best defensive end in this class, undoubtedly, but his medicals is a really big red flag. And, talking about red flag on a favorite players list, but it seems closer and closer they're clearing up, so he could be a top 15 pick. He can also, if they don't, he can be outside of the first round. I'm probably going to lean with he doesn't fall past 20 or past 19 the Rams or something. But when he's healthy, he's the best. And if anybody doesn't know what it is, he medically retired from Washington, goes to UCLA, and then becomes a beast. So it is a big red flag. He can become a Jalen Phillips, though. Marshawn Nealon is like every draft nerd's favorite defensive end or favorite edge rusher. Hustles super hard, super athletic. Think he had the number one combine of all edge rushers too. I really would love to say Marshawn Leland be the first in the first round. If he's in the first round, I'd be like, that's really cool. Probably going to end up being like more in the top 45, top 50 range. Still, it's really a lot of hustle, a lot of athleticism, a lot to love with Marshawn Nealon. This linebacker class weak. It's really weak. Junior Colson could be a guy who sneaks into the first round. I don't think he will, but like it happens. Like Jack Campbell was projected a first round pick. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't remember now. Pretty sure it was last year. He ends up jumping to 18. So like some of these linebackers do jump. Jordan Brooks is another guy in 2020, and it could happen with Junior Colson. Probably not. And then Peyton Wilson, Bednarik Award winner. Not Bednarik, sorry. Dick Butkus Award winner. Tested really well at the combine. It's just injury concerns. But if he stays healthy, that's a first round type of linebacker. Cornerback is so stacked. We're going to talk about Mitchell, Arnold, and Rakestraw. Quinion Mitchell tested the best out of any corner. And playing in the MAC, a lot of people didn't hear about this guy, but he's a really good player, really athletic player. He probably going to be seed B1. The only guy who would be able to compete is Terrion Arnold. And Arnold didn't test well, but he is the most technically sound quarterback. So you really have two opposite sides of the spectrum. But I think Mitchell is technically sound enough that it outweighs like whatever Arnold's technicality. It's now getting confusing, but you get what I mean. I think Mitchell is the CB1, Arnold's 2. But if you want a really technically sound corner, you can get Arnold. If you want the athletic upside, you get Mitchell. And then Ennis Rakestraw just is really strong, and he's not a mauler. Really physical. Physical was the word I'm looking for. Feels like a guy like the Raiders would like. He feels like your typical Raiders type corner. Raiders pick early in the first round or second round. That's probably where I would mock him. But if you want a really physical corner, go out and get Rakestraw. Crazy is too. He wasn't even their number one in college, or Mizzou's number one. Safety, Jaden Hicks. You can be looking at Jaden Hicks as the best safety in the class, and you can be getting him in the 50s. Jaden Hicks can be a very big shield on the board, and I don't talk about Tyler Nubin a lot, even though he kind of does show up. You kind of always see him in the mock draft boards. He's like in the 20s. He's not going to be in the top 20s, but he is probably the best safety in the class. So that's it. I just needed to give some flowers to some people, and that was me doing this, or this was me doing this. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Mock draft comes out tomorrow, of course. Draft is in 11 or 9 days, which is crazy. Can't wait for that shit.